Welcome to Diamonds and Dumpster Fires, the show where we talk about finding strength when life falls apart. I'm your host, Melie, and around here, resilience isn't perfection. It's falling flat, getting back up, and maybe laughing about it later. From breakups to breakthroughs, we mix faith, neuroscience, and a little sass to help you rebuild a life that actually feels like yours. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, resilient ones, and welcome back to Diamonds and Dumpster Fires. I'm Melie, and if you are listening to this on New Year's Eve, I want to start by saying I am really glad you're here. New Year's Eve is supposed to feel exciting, right? Reflective, hopeful. There's champagne and countdowns, and everyone is making posts about closing chapters and entering your new best era. But if you're anything like me, New Year's Eve often feels a bit heavy. It's a pause, a quiet moment between what was and what's coming next. And for a lot of us, that pause isn't filled with fireworks. It's filled with questions or grief or exhaustion, or sometimes even just a deep bone-level tired. And if you are anything like me, you're probably a little bit sick of hearing everybody talking about goals and resolutions and all the things that you need to accomplish this night before the year ends, when maybe you're navigating something like a divorce or a season of uncertainty, or maybe this past year survival was really your only goal. So today, I don't want to talk about goals. I don't want to talk about resolutions or reinvention, and I'm certainly not going to talk about becoming a new you. I want to talk about something a lot simpler. The idea that we're still here, and that counts. Because there is this unspoken message that floats around this time of year that if you didn't win the year, if you didn't heal enough, earn enough, grow enough, or glow enough, then somehow, some way, you have failed. But that message completely ignores reality. There are some years that are meant for thriving. But just as much as that's the case, there are some years that are just for surviving. And surviving is not a consolation prize. For some of you listening, this year might have asked more of you than you ever expected to give. But you showed up to days you didn't feel equipped for. You held it together when things were quietly falling apart. You stayed when leaving would have been easier, or maybe you left when staying was slowly erasing you. Maybe nobody clapped for that. Maybe nobody even noticed. But you are still here, and that counts. And I want to say that this past year for me has been a season where honestly a lot of days I'm just kind of getting through. I've made a lot of decisions that didn't look brave at the time, but ultimately they led to some good circumstances. But that doesn't mean that I got everything that I sought out to find at the beginning of the year. You know, last year ended a little sad for me, as New Year's Eve kind of tends to do. It's around the time of what was my anniversary, and so it can be a bit of a melancholy time for me. And as I ended the year, I was sitting at home by myself, knitting away, which, of course, is a great way to spend an evening. But as I was doing that, I thought, okay, this time next year, I'm sure things are going to be different. I'm sure there are going to be new people in my life and all this new stuff to experience, and I'll be honest, that's not the case. I am going to be spending this New Year's Eve at home by myself on the couch knitting. Except this time I will be knitting with some sequin yarn, so yay, that's something new. But honestly, I'm still here, and that counts, just like I said to you. So I think we underestimate how much courage it takes to stay present in a life that doesn't look the way we hoped it would by now. It takes courage to keep going when your prayers feel unanswered. It takes courage to keep loving when trust has been broken again and again. It takes courage to rest when the world keeps telling you to hustle your way out of pain. So if this year stripped things away from you, maybe it was dreams, relationships, certainty, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not behind. You are not weak. You are not failing at life. You are human and you endured, and that, my friend, really, really matters. There's a verse in Scripture that talks about endurance producing character and character producing hope. But here's the part we don't talk about enough. Endurance doesn't feel noble while you're in it. It feels lonely sometimes. It can feel frustrating. Sometimes it feels like wondering if any of this is actually doing anything at all. Endurance looks like getting up again quietly over and over, perhaps. It looks like choosing not to go back to what broke you, even when it's familiar. It looks like staying soft in a world that keeps giving you reasons to harden. If all you did this year was endure, I need you to know something. God sees that, even if no one else does. So, as we stand on the edge of a new year, I don't want to ask you what you're going to change. I want to ask you something gentler. What did it take for you to stay? What strength did you discover that you didn't even know you had? What did you survive that would have crushed an earlier version of you? What boundaries did you hold, even when it was uncomfortable? Those things don't disappear when the calendar flips, they come with you. So if you're able, I want to invite you into a brief moment of reflection. You can do this sitting still, journaling, driving, even while you're cleaning up after a long day. So to start, take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. Now, gently ask yourself, what helped me stay this year? Not what fixed things, not what made everything better, just what helped you remain. Maybe it was a person. Maybe it was your faith. Maybe it was creativity. Maybe it was routine. Maybe it was learning how to pause instead of push. There is absolutely no right answer here, so just notice what comes up. If you want, you can place a hand over your heart and say quietly, I'm still here and that matters. If you find that reflective moments like this help, but you wish they were a little more tailored to what you're actually carrying, this is exactly why I created Renewed Mind. It offers personalized reflection and regulation exercises based on how you're really feeling, not how you think you should feel at the start of a new year or any other day. There's no pressure to set goals or reinvent yourself, just support for staying grounded one moment at a time. You can learn more whenever you're ready at renewedmind.app. It's there if you need it. So just a reminder, you don't need to feel hopeful tonight. You don't need an extra bit of clarity. You don't need a word for the year unless you want one, which I do love a word for the year, but you don't need one. Hope is not something you have to force. Sometimes hope is just staying. Still here is not a failure. Still here is your faith in motion. So whether tonight feels quiet or complicated or unexpectedly tender or even confusing, please know this, we are still here and that counts. Happy New Year, resilient ones. I will see you in 2026. That's a wrap on this episode of Diamonds and Dumpster Fires. If you're walking through the ashes right now, remember, you're not broken. You are becoming. Don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend who needs it, and come back next week for more faith, honesty, and a whole lot of heart. See you next time.